Few people in the crowd knew who Roland Abante was, where he was from, or how long he had been waiting for this moment. He was a fisherman from the Philippines. He was wearing a simple shirt and had been through a lot in his life. Things changed when people heard his voice, though. But what most people didn't see was the very hard path that he had taken to get to that point, and the problems that he continued to face after he left the show. Roland may really be stuck in the harsh and dark side of being famous around the world. The question is, where is Roland Abante now? Tell me about his life since he left the America's Got Talent stage. When you learn what he's been through, you'll be shocked. Who sang his way to fame as a fisherman. Before America's Got Talent made everyone fall in love with Roland Abante, he was just known as Bunot in his home country of the Philippines. Most of the people there knew him as the fisherman who sang his heart out at night and drove a cab during the day. And people who had heard him sing could tell right away that he was hiding something exciting. Roland's story starts a long way from the big lights and the world stage he would finally play on. He didn't have it easy when he was born, and he grew up in a place where surviving was more important than dreams. Roland learned how to stay alive when he was young. In Cebu, a city on the coast, life wasn't easy, and a lot of people like him had to grow up quickly. People didn't expect to be comfortable or get an education. The water was both a source of food and a daily danger. It turned into a way of life for Roland. Roland's days started before dawn because he was a fisherman. He would take a small boat out to sea and cast his nets, trying to catch something. Sometimes he would be gone for hours. The work was very hard on the body. There were no breaks or safety nets. People had to work hard every day and never knew if their efforts would be enough to feed their families. There were times when the sea was nice. Some days he didn't bring anything home, but Roland stayed strong and steady even when things were very bad. Roland's life had another side that kept him going when everything else felt heavy. Roland liked music a lot. As a kid, he would sing along with radio songs, trying to sound like famous Filipino singers like April Boy Reginino and Ariel Rivera. He wasn't trained in a formal way, and he couldn't pay for music classes. He didn't have many chances, but he made up for it with his drive. His voice was always with him, something that brings comfort and lets go. Karaoke places were his way to get away. Karaoke is more than just fun in the Philippines. It's a part of our culture. People from the neighborhood cheer each other on, families get together, and friends compete there. Roland had a lot of fun with it. It was a stage and a way for him to talk. A singing bar was where he would go after a long, hard day. That's where he changed in front of small, often noisy groups. Even people he didn't know would stop and listen when he sang because his voice would get so emotional. But it wasn't just singing for fun. Roland started to compete in amateur events, first in barangay events and then in bigger events in towns close. In the Philippines, Tawag Nanghalan is one of the most watched singing competitions on TV. He joined the show, which airs as part of the noontime show at Showtime. It wasn't just about winning on that stage. It was a way for someone like Roland to feel accepted when they didn't have any money, connections, or official training. It was a chance to get real attention. He was on that show. His performances got him praise, but his path wasn't easy. There was a lot of competition. His odds were always against him because he didn't look like a pop star or fit the typical pop star profile. What he had was pure skill. His gift and raw ability were seen for what they were, and he slowly built a small group of people who liked him. Roland's first big break didn't come from a scout or a network. It came from something much less fancy. Roland started making movies in which he sang his heart out. Soon, these movies were shared on social media sites in the Philippines and even went further. People from all over the world were amazed by both how powerful his voice was and how much feeling was in every word he sang. Soon, people outside of his small town knew who he was, and it wasn't long before he chose to aim for even greater things. When Roland decided to try out for America's Got Talent, his life changed in a big way. That being said, this wasn't just any game. It was once-in-a-lifetime chance to sing on one of the world's most watched contest shows for talent. However, there was some stress. Putting himself forward was one thing. Being a soldier for his country was another. He didn't just carry his own goals with him. He carried the hopes of a whole country of working-class dreamers. He and other people like him had been told to stay in their lane, work hard, and not expect much. Roland's rise to fame around the world would start with this choice. What he did would make the whole room quiet. Wow, the judges and make social media go crazy, but it wasn't just a song that went wrong on that stage. It was about Roland's lifelong fight finally being heard. The moment on America's Got Talent that shocked viewers. Roland didn't have an easy time getting to the America's Got Talent stage. Visas had to be set up. Plans had to be made for the trip. Plus, the man had barely left his area before, so going to the U.S. was a huge step. He did it, though. Roland left Cebu and went to a new world that seemed a million miles away. But every time he sang, it took him back home. There's something strong about a man who has been through a lot standing tall in front of people from all over the world. The crowd and judges didn't know what to expect when Roland finally walked onto the stage, dressed in nothing. His name was John, and he told them he was a fisherman from Cebu, Philippines, and his dream was to sing for everyone. He had tears in his eyes when asked why he wanted to be on the 18th season of America's Got Talent. "This is my big dream to be here," he said. Those words changed the mood in the room right away. Both the judges' eyes and the crowd's silence showed that they were interested. Everything changed when he finally sang. Roland picked When a Man Loves a Woman, a soul classic from 1966 that was first sung by Percy Sledge. This song is really powerful. It's full of feeling, has a wide range, and isn't easy to sing. But as Roland played the first few notes, the room seemed to stop moving. Not only was his speech strong, it was also full of feeling. Every line of the song felt like it was written by someone who knew it. His voice had that rare, haunting quality that made people stop and listen. Every note had weight to it. In a matter of seconds, the worried fisherman from Cebu turned into a strong vocal force. The camera moved around the crowd. Some were moving around. Some people looked shocked, and some were even crying. People in the room gasped when Roland hit the high notes. It was clear that the judges were moved. Simon Cowell, who is known for being hard to please, watched with a more thoughtful face. Heidi Klum looked mesmerized, and Sofia Vergara smiled like she couldn't believe it. When Roland played the last note, everyone in the room stood up and cheered. As he spoke, Simon Cowell leaned in and said, "You were so nervous. I really thought for a moment that you weren't going to be able to do this. Everything after that made me love this audition even more. I like you a lot. It was a great tryout, really great." Judge Sofia Vergara said something very moving when she said, "I think you need to stop fishing. This is where you needed to be." That simple comment said it all. Roland was meant to do more, and America's Got Talent was the right chance for him to show the world what he could do. He did a great job capturing everything that people love about the show. Roland wasn't good at singing. Nobody had taught him how to sing for years or seen him perform on big stages, but his natural ability was enough to make friends all over the world. Soon after the show aired, videos of his performance spread like wildfire. There was a lot of praise on social media. Many fans wrote nice things about Roland in the comments, calling him one of the best singers on America's Got Talent that season. Filipino groups all over the world came together to support him. They were proud to share his story and celebrate that one of their own was finally getting the attention he earned. Roland got through the early rounds of the game and into the semifinals thanks to the support wave. Lots of people thought it was fate, that he would make it to the finals and maybe even win the whole show. His story, voice, and humility made him stand out, and people really connected with him. In fact, Judge Heidi Klum told him after one of his performances on the show that his voice had a lot of grit and character. "It was beautiful, to be honest, one of my favorites of the night. And if there's another golden buzzer that could get you to the finale right now, I would push it for you," she said. Then the moment no one saw coming happened. Roland once again gave a powerful performance in the semifinals. It was strong technically and from an emotional point of view. He did everything he could. He stood there on stage as if he knew how much was written on it. Roland's name was not called when the findings were shown, though. He had been thrown out. The crowd was shocked to the core. People who saw it online voiced shock, anger, and sadness. A lot of people thought Roland should have made it through because he was so much better than some of the other contestants. Fans asked each other on social media how they could let him go. There were people who said he had one of the best sounds this season, and people who said he was robbed. Some of the show's critics And fan pages didn't agree with the outcome. They thought that the fact that there weren't any flashy productions or visuals on stage might have worked against him. Others thought that the fact that he was quiet and humble in a show full of emotional acts might have made him less appealing to some types of audiences, but almost everyone thought that Roland Abante's elimination was very unfair. But what made his elimination the most controversial was when some fans said that America's Got Talent was secretly biased against Roland Abante because of his country. They didn't get how someone with such amazing singing skills and so much support from the people could not make it to the finals. Some of these fans also started to wonder if the show was really fair to contestants from other countries. Others said Roland's removal showed an unspoken bias that because he wasn't American, he would never win, even though his performance moved the judges and the crowd. The uproar even led to bigger arguments about how the show was put together. Some viewers even said that the show should only be for Americans so that bright foreigners don't waste their time by being on it when they might be liked but never fully accepted. The non-American bands that have made it all the way to the top have been very rare lately, they said, but not everyone agreed. People who supported the show's global approach said that ability doesn't care about borders and Roland's appearance alone was a win for diversity. It was already tense, though. It was harder to get rid of Roland because some people thought he might not have lost because of the votes, but because of something more serious. Even though there's no proof of bias, people were really angry. Roland's early eggs, it wasn't just upsetting for fans who thought he would do well. A lot of his fans thought it was unfair, and they wondered if his passport was holding him back more than his success. Still, Roland dealt with the news with the same class and ease he had shown from the start. He told the judges how grateful he was for their help, and how proud he was to have made it this far. There was no anger, just quiet strength. His friends were shocked when he quit, and the shock didn't go away quickly. A lot of people kept sharing the video of his interview, which helped people remember it. People began to follow him around outside of the show because they were interested in what he would do next. Would he get a record deal or be asked to sing on shows around the world? It's not often that people talk about what happens to artists like Roland when the shots stop. And for Roland, the end of America's Got Talent was the start of a new task that was much more like the harsh world he had always known. Why? Because Roland had to deal with something much tougher after the lights went out and the stage was cleaned up. He had to deal with the painful effects of having his dream cut short. This is the sad truth about life after America's Got Talent. Many people who watch America's Got Talent from home see it as a dream come true, a show where regular people can show off their amazing talents and become stars. The lights, cheers, and standing ovations are all meant to make it feel like a huge step forward that will never happen again, and in some ways it really is. Roland Abante and a lot of other contestants feel the same way. The end of the show doesn't always feel like the start of something new. In fact, it can feel more like a terrible return to not knowing what will happen next. The crowd went crazy when Roland got on stage and sang with all of his heart. The judges praised him, the crowd was amazed, and videos of his show spread all over the internet. The internet went crazy. Behind him were fans from the Philippines and all over the world. A lot of people thought he would make it to the finals, and maybe even win. Then it didn't happen. Even though he had a lot of support, a lot of noise, and obvious talent, Roland Abante was kicked out of the competition before it got to the finals. The fairy tale ended there and then. Roland wasn't just upset that he was kicked off, it hurt him deeply. He wasn't a contestant trying to become famous on TV. There was someone who had given up everything to be on that stage. He had gone around the world, dealt with the pressure of what his fellow Filipinos thought of him, and shown his heart to millions of people. It wasn't just missing a title that made them lose, it was about how he felt like the chance he had been waiting for his whole life had changed his mind. A lot of America's Got Talent contestants deal with the mental toll the show takes on them, but they rarely talk about it in public. Real life starts when the cameras stop rolling, and the attention moves on to the next act. Nothing is certain, there are no safety nets, and there are no clear ways to move forward. For every popular video and meme, people have to pay their bills, go back to work, and take care of their families. Roland's position was even more complicated because he didn't have a group of agents or PR experts ready to help him make the most of the chance. He had a sudden surge of fame, which can be strong but short-lived. That's when the hard truth about the entertainment business starts to come out. A lot of people think that if you get good Reviews on a show like America's Got Talent, you'll be successful right away. But the show is just a starting point, not a promise. It makes you known, but it doesn't show you the way. A lot of the time, contestants are stuck in a weird spot where they're famous enough to be known but not safe enough to stop fighting. The fame goes away faster than most people think. It can make you feel even more lost if you don't have the right help in place. Roland had to deal with that strange center ground when he went home. He had touched people all over the world. It was still time for daily life. Back in Cebu, though, the cheers stopped, and it was sad that reservations weren't coming in like many people would have thought. He wasn't being chased by record companies. The only things he had were a few local events, words of support, and the quiet determination he had always had. Not that people no longer believe in him. Fans kept telling him how much they loved his Facebook page and sharing videos of his shows online. But having faith doesn't pay the bills by itself. And like many other America's Got Talent contestants, Roland had to deal with the sharp difference between how good it felt to win and how much money he actually had. People have this problem more often than they think. Contestants in the past have talked about it. The sadness after the show, the stress of having to do well now that everyone knows your name and not knowing what to do next. Some go back to their old jobs. Others try to go on tours by themselves, but their results aren't always good. A few people are lucky enough to get a deal or a stable base, but a lot of people end up back where they started, especially those who don't have good networks or business advice. Roland has said that he is very thankful for the experience and the chance to be on a show like America's Got Talent. Never once did he think about how lucky he was, because that stage was more than just a show for him. His whole life was summed up in a few short minutes. However, the confidence and safety that came with that moment went away as well. A lot of big names in showbiz have told you that you're unique, so it's not easy to go back to normal life. It's even worse when everyone in your country backs you up, but your goals stop moving in front of everyone else. To keep going, to show that it was all worth it, and to show that it wasn't all for nothing, is a big load to carry. For many people who used to be on the show, the end of the show is the start of the real work. Creating a job from scratch, learning how to handle sudden attention, and looking for the right chances before they disappear. This isn't an easy road for someone like Roland, whose upbringing taught him to be humble and work hard. The fisherman from Cebu changed the world with just his words. What will happen next? What is he doing now? Roland's story is still going on, even though America's Got Talent is over. What is Roland Abante going to do next? Roland Abante didn't really take home a prize when he left the America's Got Talent stage, but he got something that a lot of artists never get. A lot of people around the world saw him for who he was, not as a fake act or a viral gimmick, but as a real person with a voice that could carry across seas and a story that was so real it made people cry. Roland's journey doesn't end with the race. In fact, it's starting the most important part of its story. What's next for the Cebuano singer who used to be a fisherman? Well, Roland has made it clear that he has no plans to fade into the background after the show's intense ups and downs. He's going back to the thing he loves most with even more drive than before. That stage wasn't the end of his dream. He felt even more sure that his voice was important and that his story should be told after using the tool. In weeks after his appearance on America's Got Talent, Roland went back to singing at festivals and local events all over the Philippines. There was a community show in Cebu and a live performance streamed online. He sang with the same passion that made him famous around the world in the first place. He is now aware that everyone is listening, and just the thought of that makes him want to keep going with his music business. And this time he's not the beginning. Roland now has fans all over the world, including Filipinos living in and outside of the Philippines and people from other countries who liked how real he was. There are more people who follow him on social media, and many of them still share videos of him performing, leave positive comments, and even ask for new songs or records. Roland knows that this kind of help is hard to find and that he needs to keep it going. He's building something that will last longer on the platform he got, no matter how short it was. He is looking for more serious recording jobs. People in the Filipino music scene want to work together on an album, put out more songs, and make music. He's also made it clear that he's willing to work with producers or other people in the business who understand his idea and value his background. Roland is staying true to himself because that's what moved people in the first place and what he plans to keep sharing. This is in contrast to many performers who depend on stylists and managers to shape their public image. The love from Roland's fellow Filipinos has been one of the best things about his life since America's Got Talent. People from all over the country took to social media to talk about how proud, impressed, and even sad they were that he didn't make it to the finals after his tryout aired. His story touched the hearts of Filipinos working abroad, artists who were having a hard time, and regular people who saw their own dreams in him. Roland stands for the idea that everyone, no matter how humble, should be able to be heard on the world stage in a place where music is deeply rooted in the culture. That faith has turned into real support. Fans have made Facebook groups, shared cover versions of his songs, and even asked TV networks and record labels to sign him. Others have given money or helped with events that are meant to help him keep going on his journey. This kind of help means a lot to Roland. It reminds him that even though he didn't win a trophy, he got support, approval, and the knowledge that people saw him as more than just a contestant. They saw him as a symbol of strength, hope, and ability. Even with all of his fame and stress, Roland has something much more important that holds him together: his family. Behind the public appearances and films that go viral is a strong but quiet group of people who have been with him through every step. Roland is married to Roland Abante, a woman who has been there for him through the hardest times and enjoyed his biggest wins. Respect is at the heart of their relationship, and Roland often says that she is one of the things that keeps him strong. They have talked about how thankful they are for her kindness in interviews and on social media. This is especially true during the years when he worked long hours as a fisherman and still insisted on singing late at night. They have a son named Drake together. Drake has always been interested in music, just like his father. Videos of the young boy singing with his dad have gone viral, and fans are already thinking if the Abante family has another generation of talented people on the way. One of the most moving parts of Roland's trip has been seeing his son grow in his love of music. It's no longer just about his dream. It's about building something important for the next generation and passing on that dream. Roland stays honest because of his family. He knows where home is no matter how far the trip takes him. He's been able to stay true to himself through all the ups and downs because he's emotionally, personally, and spiritually stable. The question is, what will happen to Roland Abante? It's still going on in many ways. Roland isn't giving up, that much is clear. He doesn't see America's Got Talent as the end of his life. If anything, it makes him want to go further, sing louder, reach farther, and show that real ability doesn't go away when the spotlight moves on. He keeps saying that he wants to do more professional shows, put out his own music, and maybe even visit the world to meet Filipinos who have left the country. He also still loves performing live and thinks that the emotional connection he makes with an audience is his best gift. As the music business changes, platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Spotify help independent artists do well. Roland now has more ways than ever to connect directly with fans. He didn't win America's Got Talent, but Roland Abante is more than just a voice, so the road he's on now might be even better in the long run. He's a story about working hard, being humble, family, heartbreak, and never giving up hope, and his story is still coming together. What do you think? Roland Abante won America's Got Talent. Did he deserve it? Leave a comment below and tell us. If you liked this video, please click on the next one that comes up. Give it a like and check out our channel for more videos.